In order to choose a product, it's of course important to know what products are available by the supplier. Like if you want to print on like a glass water bottle, not every supplier is going to be able to do that. So of course, t-shirts and mugs and a lot of the common stuff, that's going to be very easy. Like everybody does that, but we want to know what's actually available. So there's really 3 big suppliers. I've tested all of them. And in fact, I actually made an in-depth comparison between Printful, Printify, and Gelato. It's like a 35-minute video. I ordered products from all of them. I tested them. I showed you like the embroidery, the printing, and all the quality for different products that they make, and ultimately came up with conclusions. So in this video, I'm actually going to be going with Gelato. So I really like Gelato for a couple reasons. They have very competitive prices, a very intuitive user interface, and they offer some really cool features like Personalization Studio, which allows end users to customize their order. So maybe they're adding like their anniversary date or their last name or something like that. I'll show you how to use that later on in the video. But this is actually another affiliate link. I don't really think we get like any commission from this. It's very, very small, but you actually get an advantage if you go through it. So again, that's link number 2 in the description down below. And so you could type in santralmedia.com/gelato or click on the link. And if you look right here, the fine print, you actually get 50% off your first purchase. So I'm going to talk about ordering samples. I think that's really, really important. And you're getting, 50% off that order by going through that link. It's also, you get to try it for free. So another advantage of going through that link. So I'm going to say get offer. And again, we have to create an account with Gelato. We don't have a lot of accounts we'll be making in this video, but this is one of the other ones. You can sign up with Google, with Facebook, with Apple, or what I'm going to do is just continue with my email. So down here, I'm going to enter my name, my email address, and a password. Now, this is a good opportunity to go over to your email, and you're going to have a Shopify email verification and a Gelato one. Just click on both those buttons, say confirm email, and it'll bring you like the Shopify one. Let me just paste that right here. It'll bring you to a page that looks like this. You just click on your store. It'll bring you back to the dashboard. And like I said, we'll talk about Shopify later in the video. Let's click on the Gelato one then. All right, so for Gelato, you'll see an email that looks something like this right here. We're going to click on verify email. I'm actually just going to copy and paste it on the screen here. I'm actually just going to copy and paste it right here. So it'll show you, it'll bring to the Gelato dashboard, or rather kind of walk you through some more things, just like we did on Shopify. We can skip all of this if you want to. I'm just going to say we're going to launch an online business. We can... it doesn't really matter what you select here. This is all going to be, we can change everything later, but this is just going to essentially set up your dashboard. So we'll click through all of these. You heard about it through, I guess, social media. I don't know. What do I count? Influencer? Am I an influencer? I don't know. Whatever. I'll just say Central. Doesn't matter if you say this or not, but we can select or deselect this. Keep in mind, this is going to be, again, an email that you'll receive. So I usually deselect these things, but I'm going to say finish. And that will bring us to our Gelato dashboard. Now, the Gelato dashboard. Now, we have 2 dashboards, Shopify and Gelato. And what we want to do, again, is to figure out what we want to sell, what kind of products are available. So before we connect the store or do anything like that, let's look at the product catalog. Down here, you'll see product catalog. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of products that are just basic ones. Like you'll find like the Gildan 5000 under t-shirts. If I go to t-shirts, probably the first one here, which is probably the most common t-shirt. Yeah, Gildan 5000, the one that pretty much everybody is selling. Very reliable quality, very common, very affordable. But they also have some brands that people know about. So you might want to find something from Under Armour, for example. If I go to premium down here, this is what you'll see. We've got like all these different brands that people know of. They could be like eco-conscious. We've got Just Hoods there. We've got Under Armour down there, Champion, a lot of brands that are a little bit more premium that if you're looking to sell that, you definitely could do that. And we're going to order samples later so you can see what the quality is for whatever you end up ordering anyway. We also have, besides just clothing, of course, we've got tote bags down here. We also have wall art, which is a pretty big category. So you have the finer art, we've got posters, we've got wooden frames, we've got hangers for kind of a different style right there. And when you hover over each of these, obviously they show some pretty good examples. An aluminum print, that's actually pretty sick. You could do an aluminum print here. Acrylic, you've got foam prints, wood prints here. That's also really cool to print on wood like that. So different ideas of how you can set these up. Below that, of course, tons of different things you can see right there. We've got calendars, we've got cards, photo books, hats, phone cases, mugs and bottles, stationery and business. I think this is like business cards. Yeah, so business cards, flyers, brochures, stuff like that. And of course, you can see if you just want to shop by brand, these are some of the brands that are available rather than going to that premium section and then finding it that way. If you're just like, hey, I definitely want comfort colors, you can get comfort colors. And it's actually kind of cool that they have comfort colors on here. I might be ordering some comfort colors in this video. So that is kind of the product catalog. Now, we can choose what we want to sell first. Maybe I'm going to be designing a t-shirt. Let's start off with the basic one of a t-shirt, and then I'll go through some products that we could sell and list on our store that are in the other categories, wall art, maybe a mug. I'll do all of that in this video, and it doesn't really change a whole lot in your design process, but what we want to do for the design process, again, going back to this little presentation, there is a way to do this. Some people can just come up with an idea on the top of their head and sell it, and it works. And if that's you, good for you. That's absolutely incredible. But most of us out there are not going to be able to just off the top of the head with no inspiration, make a product and have it sell right away. Instead, there are better ways to do this. Researching is going to help you a lot. And there's two key things you want to think about in business. And this applies to really any business out there. One is what's called the blue ocean strategy. You want to be able to make a product in a space that has so little competition, but so much demand that you could make a low quality product and it'll still sell well. You don't want to make a low quality product, but that reduces the barrier. So you're allowed, it gives you more wiggle room for making mistakes and learning when you first get started. And then because there's no competition and a lot of demand, you can find early success and then reinvest that to build up your moat around you, to build up your brand identity so that as other people enter the space, you already are a higher quality, you're more recognized. Overall, you're going to be a lot better off that way. So that's the blue ocean strategy. And we'll talk about how that applies here in a second. The second strategy for many businesses out there is don't reinvent the wheel. Don't invent something new necessarily, but rather iterate on what already exists. You want to look at what's working and how you can make that work for your business. So on the right side here, I have 3 tools we're going to go through over the next maybe 10 to 15 minutes and research some other product ideas, kind of get some inspiration, figure out, what's working, what's not working. And what I like to do is create, I believe they call this a mood board in marketing. And this is like, I just make a PowerPoint or a Google slideshow, and I'll just take screenshots and put them all on one thing to see what kind of designs do I like? What kind of designs do I want to take that kind of, like I said, you're looking at what's working and also that blue ocean strategy. So you have your niches that you like, and you want to find, here's a great example just to kind of show what I'm talking about. This product right here, I'll show you how I found this in a second, but this is a product that seems to be selling very well. We'll see this style a lot in our research, as you'll see in a minute, but maybe this style, you are interested in like dendrology or trees or just like Pennsylvania, for example. Maybe you could take this and make it like the leaves or like the hardwoods of Pennsylvania or something related to like a totally different category, but use this style. So you're looking at a category that has no competition, but you're not reinventing the design. You're looking at a design that clearly works in another niche. And that's going to be a very, very, very powerful strategy to look at what's working in one niche, move it to another niche, and attract a totally new audience there. So let's talk about how we can do that research. The first thing I recommend doing is going to Etsy. That's a great way to look up for like clothing or a lot of things. People are doing a lot of print on demand and selling on Etsy, which we totally can do with our Shopify store. We can link it to Etsy and sell everything like that. That's why it is our central hub. But again, great space to do some initial research. We'll do some research on Amazon as well as on Facebook and TikTok ads as well. But starting off right here, what I like to do is go to Etsy, go to clothing, go to men's clothing, go to shirts and tees. You could look at women's clothing too. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is to go to shirts and tees in one way or another. So scrolling down through here, you're going to see a ton of graphic t-shirts that are almost all entirely print on demand. The prices are really all over the place, and we'll talk about pricing and how to decide the right price for you. Also, one of the reasons I like to have a Shopify store rather than on Etsy is because you can make your price and not be, right next to an $11 t-shirt. You can kind of have a little more control over your pricing. But scrolling through here, you can see some things are a little bit older. Like this was really popular a couple years ago. So we'll still see some of those lingering around. But there are some newer designs. Like I said, I wasn't going to talk about political ones much, but this style right here is definitely going to be a political one. I think a lot of people, it's kind of like a hot topic right now. You could very easily make some Gulf of Mexico t-shirts and Gulf of America t-shirts and sell them to 2 different crowds. And a lot of people would be very interested in that. And I think I found one a couple minutes ago. I was browsing around this already before filming. So like right here, there we go. This design right here, very easy to make this design, very cool, like casual design. Some people might not even think anything of it, but it's also like people who are very passionate about that are going to really like this shirt. It's going to be a style that they could wear in public, and they're probably going to have people looking at it and say like, oh, that's kind of funny. It's now it's a relevant topic that nobody really talked about in the past. Scrolling through here, you can see there are other ones, some kind of abstract art like this, or even like this one right here. This one's focused more on like people who become a new parent or a new grandmother. Of course, like any kind of rights or any kind of movements, that's obviously going to have a really strong, very motivated base you could sell to. But going through these, let's kind of find some designs that we like. So kind of this vintage style, this kind of keeps coming up where you have the lines down there. You can see, again, with that Gulf of Mexico shirt, like the different colors down there. That seems to be a trend. People kind of like adding that in there. A little bit more of a retro look on the shirt. I kind of like that. So I might take a screenshot of this, put it on that mood board. Again, I still like this one here, even though it's a little more outdated. I think it just kind of looks cool. It would be good, maybe not so much on a shirt, but we could move this to maybe some wall art, for example, or just, like I said, move it to a mug, some different niches, because clearly this is popular. It's doing well here, but we want to find other use cases for a style or design that's doing well in one niche, in one type of product. And after browsing for a while, let's take a look at some other platforms as well. Amazon, if you just look up graphic t-shirt, for example, you could do the same for mug maybe, or wall art or something. You'll find a lot of similar stuff. So there's that kind of sea life one, again, also doing well on Amazon. This one, you can see over 1,000 bought this in the last month, 187 reviews. So a lot of people are buying like this style. That's a little more abstract, but it doesn't matter if it's a difficult design to make. We can actually make something like this using ChatGPT or DALL-E very, very easily. So a lot of the designs of this style, don't worry, we can make designs without being a graphic designer. I kind of like this skeleton right here. We might use a skeleton a little bit later in this video for some other designs, maybe some humor around it. Maybe we could apply that to like an exercise, kind of almost a little bit ironic to add it to like a fitness or an exercise niche. And actually, I like this one a lot too. This is more of a basic, just kind of funky little style here. 6,000 ratings. They obviously have a lot of different designs they're selling, but you can also do the same. You can make a lot of these if you have the right prompt. Again, using DALL-E or ChatGPT, you don't really need to be a graphic designer to make some of these designs. So we'll be showing you, like, we'll be doing that throughout this video, but I also, like, let's just add this one to the mood board. I like how this one looks a lot. Resource number 3 is going to be TikTok's Creative Center. So I'll make this one link number 4 down below. This is going to be, it's kind of hard to get to this, but it looks like this right here. The TikTok Creative Center has kind of several different things you can go to. So you can go to looking at what's hot on TikTok ads or what's hot actually on TikTok. So kind of a good way to identify some new up and coming trends in case you either don't use TikTok a lot, or maybe your TikTok is just so narrowed in on one thing that you're going to miss out on some of the other larger trends. You can click on get started on either one of these. Like I said, either the topics that are on the rise or the ads that are doing well. And within each of them, you can look at the industry. So you could say, hey, maybe we're looking at apparel and we're looking at the last 7 days. Maybe some of these trends like fit check, you can check out that hashtag and see what people are really talking about there. Look at, what kind of things are doing well. And also, this is going to be beneficial later when we're making our ads, where we can make our ads in the format of what's trending right now. Maybe there's a certain song or a certain like just style people are really making these videos, and it's like blowing up and trending in one way or another, and we can use that with our own products to kind of slip right into that viral trend and get a lot more exposure to our brand there. So you can kind of browse through this, view more down there. But another tool, like I said, is the ads. I want to dig into the ads a little bit more, because this is where we can see, like, if people are making ads on TikTok for print on demand products, we can see what's actually working, what they're really putting their money behind on ads. Because if an ad is really getting a lot of spend, odds are they're not just wasting that money. Most people want to see some return, which means people are probably clicking on the ad and probably ultimately ordering. So you typically have to sign in to get some more advanced things. So we could log in or sign up. If you have a TikTok account, you could do that now. Otherwise, you could just look at 4 different things here, and we can make an account later when we're actually setting up our ads. But maybe you want to look at the industry here. We could say apparel and accessories. We can look at men's clothing, and we could ignore and objective could be conversions. The ad language will say English, and we want non-Spark ads. And so this one looks like it's a little bit of a dead end today. You're getting some hoodies that have like floral designs, nothing I'm super interested in. We can browse through a lot more, like I said, if you log in. And then the final research tool that I recommend using is Facebook. You can go on Facebook and find a lot of print on demand products that are being sold. So this one right here, so this is Hockey Lovers, sportsmand.com. I'm not sure that domain, but 1,600 likes, 1,600 followers. Clearly a lot of people are interested in this. And as we scroll down, you can see they have a lot of different, like, let's just go to the photos. You'll see they have a lot of different products that maybe you want to be inspired by. So maybe like the American flags with the American flag with hockey sticks, kind of cool. But maybe you can make that with like baseball bats or fishing rods or something else in some other niche that you might want to get into that maybe you'd be interested in, their country flag, if not the U.S. flag. This one's kind of funny. So Sasquatch, but slap squatch. So maybe Sasquatch stuff does well. This is kind of ugly sweater format. Again, with that seasonal thing, that's another great idea around Christmas to make the ugly sweater style because, people buy new ugly sweaters like every couple of years. They only wear it a couple times a year, but they're willing to buy one because, hey, they got invited to an ugly sweater party and they don't have an ugly sweater to wear. Again, whenever you find pages like this, it's just great to kind of browse through the different designs. You don't want to copy designs, obviously, but take inspiration, find out what's working, and then apply it to another niche, like I mentioned throughout this video. So this one's pretty funny, actually. I like that one a lot. That's hilarious. And so now there are two tools that I like to use to really design the shirts or the products that we're actually using. And you can make a t-shirt design and then put that on a mug or on wall art. Typically, it's a very similar aspect ratio. Mugs are a little wider, but the wall art is typically a very similar aspect ratio.